So we're in LA now. I'm playing in the Hollywood Bowl Orchestra, still touring with Ben Vereen whenever I can. Then I got called to do a musical called a TV called Newsies. It was a movie, and I was working with the choreographer Ken Ortega, who I had worked with on the American Music Awards for many years. I would put together the opening segment for that. I would do the arrangement. It was called the sketch, and it would go to the orchestrator. Uh, so, for instance, so the first one was with Lionel Richie, and the second one was uh, Lionel Richie, Diana Ross, who else? Miami Sound Machine. So I would put together the opening segment along with this choreographer who became a director later, and he did Dirty Dancing. He was the for that, and he was also the creator of um, a High School Musical, and uh, we became good friends. I worked with him on Newsies on the show, on the set with the students that had with these not students, they were actors, young actors that had to perform. And that's when I met Danny Trube, who was Alan Menken's orchestrator, brilliant orchestrator. And he came in, and they said, "Oh, can you play some warm ups for the guys are doing ballet or whatever they're doing, to warm up for dancing and moving?" Because they had to do, flips off. Some of them did flips off the scaffolds. Most of them didn't, but it was a whole. If you've seen the music, it's all dancing and singing. So I was just making up things, go from an Arbian tune to a Chopin etude and Danny Troop came over, who's Alan Menken's orchestrator. Alan Menken wrote the score for Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. And we started fooling around. He plays a little bit of a Chopin etude. We had this little thing going back and forth. So next thing you know, they're doing the movie Pocahontas. And I get called to play piano for Pocahontas, for the movie score. And it was through Danny Trube, and this had just started playing in the Hollywood Bowl Orchestra. So I did played for many of the Disney movies. Pocahontas. There's the Colors of the Wind up there. You probably can't see it, but there's the actual music.
Can you play some of that?
What I had to play? You mean?
No, can you play some of that right now?
That's what I had to play, but that's the song. But the funny thing is, somebody will ask to play this song you play. We played it one time, and I can't remember what I did yesterday as studio musicians. And it's funny, and musicians don't understand. Well, when you played it, yeah, but I played it once, and that was it. And I was gone, and we on to 3 more hours of recording. But I saw people getting in line, getting the music signed, so I got it signed, and also by Judy Kuhn, who sang the part of Pocahontas. So that was with a full orchestra, and that score was the first animated movie to win an Oscar for the top score. And I give Alan Menken a lot of credit. I did a lot of work with Alan over the years, Hercules movie, and Hunchback of Notre Dame, and many other ones. But I think the first or second person he thanked when he got his Oscar was Danny Trube, his orchestrator. And Danny, just brilliant, and really had a lot to do with the score also. And it's just incredible. I mean, to be sitting in the middle of that orchestra with that sound. So I did a lot of Disney movies. Years later, actually in the same period of time, the person who was the producer, his name's Dino Ficaris, asked me if I'd like to write songs with them. So we worked on writing songs. I would give him basically an entire rhythm track on my drum machine and my synthesizers. He would sing to them. One of them, Dolly Parton recorded, and on a CD that she had done. And I was also working on a TV show at the same time when she did that show. That song is the opening on one of the songs. It's called "Saving It for You, Mr. Right." So I didn't write the lyrics, but I did write the song. A good friend of mine, Nita Whitaker, great singer who I'd done some arrangements for. She sings a lot for David Foster, the producer. And somebody else from the Beauty and the Beast show that I was conducting every night down at the Schubert Theater said, we need an organist at this church. And I'm thinking, I could use the extra money. And so I auditioned. They made me audition, and they gave me the job. And it was called Church of the Valley. John Stamos was an actor. He would come down. It was a lot of actors and so forth. So I got my organ chops back. Well, I'd already been playing in the Hollywood Bowl, but play organ and play piano for the meditations. So now we're in this, cut back to this church. A good friend of mine, Tom Warrington, brilliant bassist, one of the best in the world, was teaching at UNLV. And we had kind of lost touch. We were friends when I was back in Rochester when he was traveling with Buddy Rich band. And he was in a trio with an incredible pianist, Barry Kiner, who passed away much too early. In fact, I think it was the only time that Buddy Rich was ever featured on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson with a trio. And it was Tom Warrington and this pianist, Barry Kiner. You got to check him out. He was brilliant. And Buddy Rich. But anyway, Tom Warrington, I had no idea. He'd been going to some church, Lutheran church somewhere, and they took the organ out and they put synthesizer in and started doing rock music, which is of course the trend in churches now to do away with the traditional. And he kind of got mad, typical Tom Warrington style, said the heck with that. And he heard that I was playing down at this other church. So now he starts coming in the mornings to this Church of the Valley. And the first service was kind of traditional. So I take the hymn tune and I, modulate and reharmonize in a more of a classical style, not jazz, and maybe play. So he came to the church and he would say he'd come to the 8 o'clock service to hear me blow pedals, like make up different chords. And he says, there's this job in UNLV, this pianist Stefan Carlson is leaving to take a job at North Texas University. You'd be perfect for it. You have the education experience. He says, why don't you apply? I said, really? So I did. I come over and I interviewed, and I actually had to, Tony Bronco. I don't know if you know who Tony Bronco is in town. I worked with Tony Bronco, and it wasn't Rachel Eckroft. It was another girl. Anyway, so I had to work with 2 students in front of the committee, and they would play something, and then I had to give them feedback. And I hadn't been teaching at university. I taught at high school, though. And I don't know, whatever I did, there were many other applicants, but I ended up getting the job. I put in materials. I remember a CD I had recorded with Tom Harrell, trumpet player, and some other people, and sent that in. I got the job in 2002. So now I moved. Well, the first year I commuted from Valencia, flew over every day, each week, and so did Tom Warrington and Bruce Paulson, who was the other teacher there, who had played on the Tonight Show band with Johnny Carson, lead trombone. We were all good friends. But then they made me the director of the program, so I felt compelled to move over to Vegas, the following year. So in 2003, I moved to Vegas. So it's been wonderful being here in Vegas, and then I've had many professional opportunities from my contacts, conducted shows like the Showstoppers at the Wynn. I got to conduct for Lady Gaga at the Wynn. And because of Steve Wynn's entertainment director, Rick Gray, and then my contacts in LA, they asked me to be co-musical director and conductor for the Sinatra 100 show for the Grammys. And that was quite the experience also. That was, each one of the performers was asked to sing a famous Frank Sinatra song using hopefully the original Nelson Riddle arrangements, except a lot of times they were transposed in other keys, and that's another story. But we made it work, and it was Usher, Alicia Keys, Carrie Underwood, who else? Harry Connick Jr., a lot of country artists, Garth Brooks, and Zach Brown. Who else? There's so many performers. Seth MacFarlane performed on it, which was fun because I know Seth from, I played like the Ted movie and so forth for him, played the score for that. There's the Ted movie up there. I don't know if you can see that. Seth signed that to me. He drew a little Stewie there, by the way, if you know the Family Guy show, right there. So, they're just fun to see. It's just memories down memory lane. But so Seth was on that show, singing some. He loves to sing Sinatra material, and everyone sang a different song. John Legend, and so forth. So I got to work with all of them. And you talk about pressure. We had about a half an hour for them to rehearse and do their camera blocking. The day before, we did a sight read with the orchestra, and we did the camera blocking, and then we're doing the show that night. And there were no second takes except for Lady Gaga, because the confetti cannon didn't go off at the end of New York, New York, so they had to do it again. No one else did their music twice. Everything was first take with a full orchestra. And I was just conducting. I was not playing on this one. Brought over a great pianist, good friend of mine, Tom Rainier from LA, and Wayne Bergeron was here playing lead trumpet from LA. Dan Higgins came in and played lead alto sax with the Woodwinds. But everybody else were Vegas players in the whole string section. Deanne Letourneau and Becky Ramsey and everyone. So that was a great experience, and I've been fortunate to do, many of those here in Las Vegas. But my heart is always with the students at UMLV and throughout CCSD. We just went. Julian was a perfect example. He came out of this wonderful music program that you have here, and we're really fortunate here. A lot of schools around the country, a lot of school districts do not have this level of support for music. So it's essential. You're talking to me, so I know that it's critical to our society and everything else. Jazz music is our American music, but we need all music, classical and every style imaginable. We got to keep music going in the schools. It's absolutely essential. So I can't say enough about it. That was the first question.
Yep.
That was great, Dave. That was great.
Yeah.